All right, so Jesse Martineau here, French Canadian Legacy Podcast. Obviously, I promised that I was going to do updates while I'm in Quebec. That we're going to put on the Patreon page, kind of documenting my 6 months up there to try to learn the language, which I think would be kind of fun. But it was suggested that I do a couple of them anyway before I go, talking a bit about kind of my process leading up to heading up to Quebec. A lot of people ask about, how I got the place to stay. That was actually super, super easy. What ended up being a little bit more complicated was getting the permission to be allowed to study in Quebec. A couple different steps. First is I had to get this called the CAQ. I'm trying to make sure I get this right. Certificat d'Exception du Québec, which you get it in French and then in English, translates to the Quebec Acceptance Certificate for Studies. So that's good. It took me quite a long time to get this because there's a bunch of documentation they need. Some of it you could expect. They need, a letter from the school showing that you've been accepted to a program. You had to show that you have insurance for the entire time you're going to be up there, provide a picture of your passport, that kind of thing. But what ended up being a little bit more complicated from my perspective is you had to be able to prove that you had enough money to be able to afford to live in Quebec for the duration of your stay. I thought I had said all the documentation I needed. Turns out I did not. And none of this was electronic, so I had to go back and forth via mail. But eventually, after number of months, actually, I was able to get the okay, obviously, to study in Quebec. But it says right here on the letter that this is only one of two steps. You actually have to get permission from the federal government as well in order to study. And I just got that today, which I'm looking at over on secondary screen, so I'm looking off to the side. So I got the go ahead there. So I got the okay to be able to study in Canada from the federal government. But it does note in this letter that I got, which, by the way, the Canada side was a little bit easier because you could do it electronically, which was cool. But it noted that this is subject to compliance, the requirements of what I'm going to have to do, is bring this letter with me when I go to the border to Canada. The officers are going to ask to see this letter and my passport and some other documents and going to ask me some questions and all that stuff. But so far, at least it appears I'm good to go. I have the okay from Quebec. I now have the okay from Canada. So I think I'm all set to study. So that's kind of the background on how that process worked. Obviously, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything. But next, coming up, I think I'll probably do a video at some point with a little bit of what my expectations are for this program, which I think is going to be pretty fun when I'm in October looking back and I see how on the ball I was with how accurate I was with whether or not I have any idea what I'm walking into. But anyway, so that's a quick overview of what it took me to get permission to study in Quebec. And this will just be one of a couple of videos. I look forward to doing a bunch more as I head down this process.